Tabletop role-playing games? No, I don't know any.
You never heard about it in the media or someone talking about it?
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to give a little explanation and you can tell me how you feel about that.
Welcome to the Rolist Podcast, episode 1. I will be your host, Callum. I don't have any guests to record with me this little introduction, which makes things a bit difficult. This is my very first podcast. As a result, this first episode is a little bit messy. We're gonna start with a night out at Stratford to see the movie Ant-Man, and then we'll follow with the first part of an interview of the founder of a London-based group of role players called La Guilde des Rolistes Francophones de Londres. And in between all of that, we'll have a few songs brought to you by Free Music Archive. So let's go to Stratford for Ant-Man and let's follow that with Whiskey Girls by K.I.D.S.
We are in Westfield Stratford.
Hello.
Hello. I'm here with Nala. I guess that's gonna be your pseudonym. Okay. And Persophilia. And I'm your host, Callum. Today we are about to go see Marvel Cinematic Universe Ant-Man, and it's one of the lesser known comic books I think that's ever been into the MCU. So I was curious before seeing the movie to see what you two knew about Ant-Man and what you were expecting from that movie.
Oh my god, you're asking me the wrong... I never read comics. You know what I know about it? I know Paul Rudd as being a cutie. My teenage crush from Clueless, which is a great movie.
Hey, was it Clueless?
Yes, he's Josh. Didn't even know there was an Ant-Man, but I thought the trailer looked good because there's an Ant-Man. It sounds funny.
You're going to see it just for Paul Rudd and Ant-Man and the trailer?
I see it because first of all it's Marvel. It's part of the universe, so it looks fun. It's better than Thor.
So you build up the trust you have in the other movies.
I do. I believe in the franchise. Sounds horrible, but I think I do actually.
You don't say much, Persophilia.
Well, I have read a review that it was quite different from the other Marvel movies where it's like lots of explosions and
there's explosions.
Well,
you saw the train.
It's a small train. It's a so this one says they said it was really much nicer and more. The story's more evolved or something, and it's a nicer one. But then other people watched it and they didn't seem very convinced. So I don't know. I'm on the fence.
You know what's good about this one? It looks like it's not like, oh, it's Captain America. It's like this awesome hero. It's like Ant-Man. What? He lives with ants? That's silly.
Okay, well, I guess we'll find out, and we'll comment after we see the movie.
Exactly.
I felt the dirt you were burying.
Welcome among the Rolistes, your London-based tabletop RPG podcast. I am here with... So, call me or Kundin? Kundin. Kundin. Today, for our very first episode, we are not in London. Where are we, Kundin?
Well, we're in Exeter, actually, southwest of England.
What the hell are we doing here?
You're visiting me.
The reason I'm starting with you is that what I feel is a good starting point for the podcast is to interview people of a group of people you know quite well. The Guilde, Rolistes Francophones de Londres, so the Guild of French-speaking role players of London.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as sexy in English as it does in French, does it?
Does it really sound sexy in French? I'm not sure. But you're the founder of that.
Yeah. Created it when I arrived in England. Well, shortly after I arrived, actually. I don't know where to start. I don't want to tell you the story of my life. But
started that I know 10 years ago because we just had the birthday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we celebrated the anniversary of the foundation of the Guild. Which was created indeed in 2004 actually. Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, last year, so...
Yeah, 2004, October the 7th, 2004. That was the date of our first game in England. Before that I used to... that's where the name partially comes from. I was the Fondator.
So it was you and Wood.
Another guy who appears to be the person who introduced me to role-playing games, actually. So we started RPG group when I was living in France with that other person.
Okay, so you started in France, not in London.
Well, I started the first club in France. And then when I moved to England, I thought, well, that was a good idea. We started that in France with just 2 people. Let's recreate the whole experience in England. So when in France, I was part of Guilde des Brumes from a small town called Bourgoin-Jallieu with my friend Jérôme. In England, I created the Guilde des Rolistes Francophones de Londres on my own this time. But yeah, I ended up quite successful.
One of the points of the podcast is to tell about London tabletop role-playing games and our life as expats. But actually, hopefully people who don't know yet about role-playing games could listen to this podcast. So what would be your explanation, your description to someone who never played, who never witnessed a game or seen a show where it's depicted of what actually is
a role-playing game?
Yeah.
Well, that's quite easy really, because I would say that's something we've all played. Everybody. To some extent. When you're a child, you play pretend to be a pirate, pretend to be a knight, a princess, any kind of character. Okay? We all do that. So, basically, gamers in role-playing games just carry on playing. We just play with more complex rules to probably more interesting scenarios. But the spirit is the same. You just pretend to be a knight, you pretend to be a princess, you pretend to be whatever you want to be, really. You just find a game which suits your needs and your expectations. You gather people, because you don't play on your own. And yeah, you just do that. You speak in character. So in a way, it's some kind of interactive, creative play, basically, where there's a script which is written in advance, but which is known by only one player, the game master, which is going to be directing the players in a world which takes place around the table, which doesn't exist physically. So you don't have any miniatures, you don't have anything like this, any cards, all you have is basically a character sheet, where you have all the information about your character. And with this sheet, you're going to pretend to be, say, an elf. And you're going to speak in the way an elf would speak, for example. You're going to take some inspiration from movies, from books, from anything like this. You're going to shape your character's personality around some aspects of character you like in films, for example, like Legolas in The Lord of the Rings. And you're going to live adventures around the table, just describing the actions of your characters. if the game master says typically, there's sorry.
Who's this guy, the game master?
Game master. So the game master has prepared the script in advance at home. It can be a script which is available to buy in a shop or to find on the internet, or he can write it himself. So it's just basically a story, a scenario, just like in a film, which will probably say things around, okay, the main plot is princess of that kingdom has been captured by evil orcs, and my players are going to rescue her. At the end of the game, if they manage to rescue her, the king will be overwhelmed with joy, will reward them with a hefty sum of money. And along the way, obviously, the game master will prepare some traps, will probably send the players in very dangerous places, will probably give them some good fights against the orcs, and will also play the role of all non-playing characters, so people who aren't players.
So NPCs.
NPCs, indeed, who will be there to help the characters or to interact with them. So it can be the innkeeper who will tell them, oh yeah, I think I saw this band of orcs the other day, they were on that northern street there, etc., etc. Basically, the game master is here to play all the other NPCs, all the other characters of the universe, and to describe the universe to the players. We will be the eyes and ears of the players.
So all of that, just to answer the usual question, happens around the table.
Yep.
It's just orally, so people are speaking to each other, and people are usually not dressed up.
No.
As their characters.
Usually not. You can if you want, but it doesn't add much to the game itself.
So, how did you yourself get started into role-playing games?
I had quite an early start, very early start. I was 9 years old when I bought my first role-playing game.
Whoa, that's
completely by accident. I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that I would probably like it. It was a game called L'Œil Noir, the Black Eye, which is a German game. Don't ask me what it is, what the name of it is in German. I think it's gosh, yeah, I hope my German friends don't listen to this podcast. Schwarze Auge or something like this.
Schwarze Auge.
Yeah. And, I started playing it with a friend. We didn't really read the rules properly. We ended up having the wrong box, actually. So it was a very confusing experience. But before that, and I bought that game because of that, I started with the books Who You Are the Heroes, Fighting Fantasy collection, and another collection which is Lone Wolf as well.
Yeah, I don't remember what you call that in English, but basically these are these books which you read the book and then the book will say something like...
Typically, you're in a dungeon, you can, you spot a sleeping goblin, you choose to tiptoe past him, or do you choose to try to attack him, or do you just go back and choose another direction.
And depending on what you choose, the book tells you go to page 23, 35 or whatever. So that first game you played, that was as player or as game master?
Well, it wasn't really a proper game. So I was game master, my friend was a player, but yeah, I wouldn't call that first experience as a proper gaming experience. I came back to RPGs because I always had that interest in fantasy, and of course reading the fighting fantasy books I only developed that interest later on. And years later, I was probably 19, I think, 20 maybe. I started buying Magic the Gathering, the cards, which is not role-playing games, but
it's a board game without a board.
It's a card game without a board, yeah. And then, well, obviously you get to meet people who have the same interest, and some of these people are gamers. RPG gamers or board game gamers. So I I started playing Warhammer, the miniature game. Mm-hmm. Not the RPGs.
So another sort of board game, it's a war game, it's
a bit complicated, but basically it's two armies of miniatures fighting each other. It's very complicated.
It's
rules.
A chess game with chainsaws.
Sort of things. Also I was playing the fantasy version, so not the 40k. And then I came across in my my local shop, I came across an old box of something called Warhammer Quest, which was like a revelation. It was something which was produced by the same company than Warhammer, but it was some kind of introduction to role-playing games, proper role-playing games.
That's more, well, that's, you still have it here.
I still have it here.
And actually, yeah, you got Space Crusader and that.
I do have them, yeah. The one you saw upstairs is not the original box. That one stayed in France, but I bought a second copy to be able to play in English with my English friends.
So finally your first proper role-playing game was...
You can argue it's not completely a role-playing game, but it's certainly an introduction to proper role-playing game. At some point, you can use it as a role-playing game.
Warhammer Quest.
Yeah, Warhammer Quest can be used as a role-playing game.
Extending a bit about role-playing games, what do you think are the types of qualities which role-playing games encourage in people?
Well, communication helps. Well, it helps your communication, I mean. And that's something I experienced personally because I was someone, believe it or not, who was naturally shy. I was a really, really shy teenager.
I think a lot of us were, well...
Possibly.
I was quite shy also before getting into role-playing games and theater by extension.
Yeah. I think it's something which allows you to try things you would never have done in your real life. When you're in-game, you're in a character, so it's not really you, but somehow it's a character which you have, once again, some connections with. You give your character some of your personality, obviously. And you place him in situations where he has to be daring, where he has to be adventurous, where he has to talk back, to fight back. These sort of things you don't see in real life. So it certainly helps developing your personality and getting more confidence. I've seen, because I've played with many people throughout my gamers career, and including several students, because I'm in education. I'm a librarian. And yeah, I saw several times students who were naturally shy and who were at that age maybe, I guess, where you don't really, you're not really overwhelmed with confidence. Gaining more and more confidence, and when you were pushing them as a game master to do something which is almost against their nature, like saying there's someone in a pub who is in the game, of course, who's challenging you and maybe pushing you and maybe wanting a fight, and they have the opportunity to fight back. It's something which they will never do in real life. And it's an extreme example, but they will do that in the game because it's easy. It's just throwing dice. So I feel like it's an activity which encourages you to dare doing things that you will not do in real life, and little by little, well, obviously you gain confidence, and it helps quite a lot actually.
Is there anything have you ever realized? It's happened to me a couple of times. That's why I'm asking it. Actually, it happened to me today. Do you have any memories of some of those skills or things you've done in role-playing games coming up sort of useful within your work? For instance, for me today, I was doing a project tracker for a project, allocating resources of people working, spending hours on the project. And actually, I realized at some point what I was telling to my boss about, well, let's wait a minute, let's use those hours there to use them here instead. I realized that I was actually kind of min-maxing my project tracker. So that's kind of specific, but yeah, I have a couple of memories of this sort of thing. Do you have the same way you say, well, actually, I'm much better. I'm doing that at my work thanks to role-playing games.
I wouldn't have anything that specific, I would say. dwarves, warriors don't really share much with librarians, unfortunately. But as a game master, yeah, it certainly helps. It helped me in my career just by getting me into researching for more documentation for my projects, for my scenarios and everything. As amateur author of scenarios and scripts for role-playing games, it also helped me to develop my creative skills, creative writing, etc., etc. I would say yes, because if I look at my level of English nowadays and what it was before, role-playing games certainly had an influence on that, because some are just available in English. So either you read it and you struggle, and then you improve your English little by little, gaining some interesting vocabulary in the process, such as sword, shield, these sort of things were very early in my vocabulary.
Yeah, I remember play one of the few times I mastered in English. She was not English herself, she was German, but she was German-American, and she was questioning the fact that the word urchin, street urchin, actually existed, because she had never heard of it. So she thought that I just mispronounce it, but okay, but I think I will leave to a listener to judge the level of our English, and they can imagine, or even worse, it would be without role-playing games.
Anyway, I would certainly not be able to hold this conversation if it wasn't for role-playing games in the first place. It's not the only reason why I learned English, of course, but it certainly helped developing the interest into another language. And to go back to finish my point about the whole experience as a GM, organizational skills and creative skills, creative writing, all of this were developed thanks to RPGs.
Okay, we're coming out of Handman.
Yeah.
We are eyes sparkling with Pimm's particles. First of all, 2 more people joined us. They're very nice. We're gonna call them Timon and Pumbaa. Hello. Okay, Timon doesn't want to say anything. Pumbaa.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Okay, back to Nala.
We almost have all of the lines.
Okay, so we were talking about what you knew about Ant-Man, pretty much nothing before the movie. So what do you think of Ant-Man now?
I thought it was a very nicely put together action film. The script writing was great. I think it was Edgar Wright, right? Edgar Wright!
It was funny.
It was great.
It was really nice.
I loved it.
It was funny, it was entertaining, and the best guy is the what's-his-face character.
Well,
I forgot the character's name.
The
The Mexican guy.
Yeah, the Mexican
Yeah,
guy.
it was so good.
He was amazing.
So great lines. You're not helping
Come on,
Timon
you
and
loved it.
Pumbaa.
What's his name?
Michael
Mr.
Senna.
Michael Senna.
No, Pina.
Michael Pina.
Okay, that's my
Michael Pina.
contribution. It was incorrect.
And his character's name was Louis.
Yeah.
Louis was the bomb.
Yeah.
I thought it was like kind of, you know how like Hot Fuzz or something with the cuts.
We definitely an American vibe to it at the
Yeah, of
same time.
course,
It didn't feel too Edgar Wright.
But you could see it. You could
Yeah.
sense it. It was there. I was wondering how much he wrote and how much he actually did like contribute. Because I saw an interview. They're like, "Oh, how was Edgar Wright?" It was like, "Oh yeah, Paul Rudd got onto the show just as they had Paul Rudd." Edgar Wright said, "Oh, I'm pulling out," and so like Paul Rudd was there, like, "Oh shit,
I was there for Edgar Wright, and now I'm on the new guy. But
Well, I'm wondering how much of Michael Pina's scene and dialogues are improvised by him, because it seems very, very natural.
it was great. You know the evil guy? He's actually. Well, I saw him first in House of Cards. Yeah, you see that show. He was so. I remembered. He always plays this horrible guy who's been like troubled, and then he turns out to be evil, but he doesn't actually want to be evil because he actually loves his master.
He was really evil, but kind of sad at the same time.
No, exactly, and that's exactly what he played in House of Cards.
I just kept seeing Harry from Sex and the City in him. He just
Is he Harry from Sex? Is he from Sex and the City?
no, but he just had that
Oh, he's
resemblance.
the bald Jewish guy.
Yeah.
No, he's a lot
What?
bigger. No, there's a guy, Charlotte.
Yeah, I know him. I see him. It's a guy with the hairy back. I've seen too many of Sex and the City because of you.
Or Mistresses.
Yeah, right.
By the way, we have to catch up on that.
You
We'll have
find
another podcast about Mistresses.
Yes.
Just us. No, we're not.
Who was sad when Anthony died?
I was.
Who's Anthony?
The fly ant.
Oh, the ant!
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it was sad.
You were not sad. You did not even remember its
I
name.
forget names in movies.
Timon, did you like Ant-Man?
I enjoyed Ant-Man.
I like it. I put it in the box of movies I'm going to watch again.
Yeah.
Pumbaa?
That's a good category. Ah, thank you.
Pumbaa, you put it in your box
think about
where
a
you're
new
gonna
category.
take it.
I thought it was good. It was a good balance of fun and action.
Good American clean fun, that movie was.
Yeah, it was clean.
Very American.
And good rhythm, short, not too long.
Yeah, stopping moments were very short. However, I did not like the scene where they were like, your mother, she died. And she was a hero at that moment. It's like, oh my god, cut the fucking crap.
Persophilia?
It's very good. I would watch it again.
Okay, are you looking forward to Civil War? Captain America fighting Iron Man?
Sure.
Captain America's fighting Iron Man?
Yeah.
Why did you tell me that? Why are they getting a dispute?
Well,
divorce
we'll
you're about to
find
say.
out in Captain America Civil War.
This was Chartreuse by Monk Turner. And before a little interview with Kundin, it was Dream Tree by Tonality Star. All of that available on Free Music Archive. And this is the end of our very first episode of the Rolistes podcast. To finish nicely, I'm gonna leave you with Solta o Franco by Bande do Rol. I don't think it's got anything to do with role-playing game. I did not bother Google Translate the name of the band or the name of their song, but the name of the band's got roll in it, so I guess it says something. And I thought it would be a great pick for the theme song of this podcast. So let's just go with it. Hope you'll come back for episode 2, and in the meantime, have good games!
A gente somos linda, a gente somos inteligente, a gente somos o trio mais foda, a gente somos delinquente. Alegria da moçada, da perua favelada, nosso som é fantasia pra mamãe, vovó, titia. Rolê, 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 solta o frango e vem com a gente. Rolê, 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 solta o frango e vem com a gente. Nós é tipo bem Jesus, todo mundo a gente ama. Ainda mais se for gatinha, rola até levar pra cama. A gente topa tudo, sapatão e bigodudo. Na hora do piriri, cai em mim outra vesti. Vai, Batuque! Rolê, 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 solta o frango e vem com a gente. Rolê, 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 solta o frango e vem com a gente. A gente são linda, a gente são inteligente, antes de dar um beijo eu jurava que era crente. Alegria da moçada, da perua favelada, nosso som é fantasia pra mamãe, vovó, titia. Rolê, 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 solta o frango e vem com a gente. Rolê, 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 solta o frango e vem com a gente. Oh my goodness.